and PLAR History and Geography. Again, my name is Jonathan. I am your teacher for this course. Tonight is the very last class for this course and for this term 1B. Okay, so again, this is the last and final class for PLAR History and Geography. So we'll wrap things up in terms of today's class, and this is it for term 1B. Okay, so the goal was to finish this course or any course that you have been working on by the end of this term, which is right now. Next week is our midweek, where if you are looking to write your tests, you can do so then. I noticed that we got Roslyn on the line from Waterman. How are you tonight? Good. Thank you for joining. Excellent. Good. So again, this is our last class. Okay, this is it. So we're gonna do a bit of review from Tuesday class by looking at latitude and longitude, and I will wrap things up by talking about the grand finale, the main event, the test or the exam. Okay, so once again, feel free, I just want to remind everyone to, if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call during my office hour. Again, my extension is 2221. Feel free to send me an email if you have any questions. If you don't have an email, feel free to send me a message through social media, through Facebook. And again, if you cannot attend tonight's class or you want to review any material, you can always go back and watch all my lessons on my YouTube channel at JHO Waso or on the NNEC archive homepage. Okay? So again, I just want to emphasize, this is it. Okay, this is it for term 1B. We're done for this term after today's class. Okay, before we begin, I want to remind everyone of our trivia game show that will be taking place next week on Thursday, February 4th at 2 p.m. Central Time. Okay, I noticed that the deadline to register has passed, which was yesterday, but if you're still interested and you want to partake in our 25th anniversary trivia game show, you can still do so. Just send me an email and I will send it to Candace and we'll be good to go. Reminder, you need internet access in order to participate. We'll be using our smartboard and our Bridget software, okay? Again, lots of fun. We'll be asking tons of random questions, okay? No prior knowledge whatsoever needed, okay? It'll be lots of fun. Open to everyone, DEC, students, teachers, staff, strangers, your neighbor, community members, open to everyone, as long as you have internet access, okay? Again, there'll be lots of prizes given out as well, lots of WASA swag that we'll be handing out, okay? Again, if you have any questions about our trivia game show, just let me know, and I will answer those questions, okay? So again, last class for term 1B. Very exciting. So I just want to make some note before we do a bit of review and go over the expectation for a test. So this is it, like I said, for term 1B. After tonight's class, all classes, including PLAR History and Geography, will be done. Okay, will be done. We will start the next term, term 2A. Okay, we'll start the second week of February, okay? Okay, or February 8th. Okay, the second week of February is when the next term will begin. Again, if you are somehow not finished any of your assignments for any courses, that is okay. That is okay. You will not be withdrawn from the program. Okay, you will still be a student. Okay, just continue to work on those assignments and finish them as soon as you can. That way you can be eligible to write the test. Okay. However, if you are a brand new student to WASA and have not applied or filled an application or would like to be a student here at WASA, again, the deadline for that, I believe, is tomorrow. So make sure you send in or submit your application by tomorrow, okay? If you want to start term 2A with us here at WASA. Okay. Again, next week there will be no classes next week. Okay, so you don't have to log on to your Bridget software or anything like that. There'll be no classes next week. Okay, next week is our admin week. Okay, that's next week, so there's no classes. But we'll have our trivia game show. That's next week. Okay, teachers, staff, counselors will still be in the office during the usual office hours. So again, if you have any questions in terms of my course, PLAR History Geography, or any other questions in terms of any other courses, please make sure you contact your teachers. They will still be in the office next week. Okay? And I will finish the rest of my announcement at the end of today's class. Okay? So let's do a quick bit of review of what we talked about last class. So if you were with us, that was awesome. So last class we talked about latitude and longitude, lesson number 5, the last lesson, physical geography in the geography half of PLAR history and geography. Okay, so again, I'm going to quickly go over some of the key points, some key learning goals that we went over, some key definitions, and I will once again go over questions on assignment 16, the last assignment for this course. Once that's all done, I will talk about the tests. Okay, so just bear with us for a few moments as we do a bit of review before we talk about the tests. Okay, and I will answer any questions near the end of the lesson as well. Okay, so again, we talked about latitude, longitude. We talked about the equator, what that is. We talked about what the prime meridian is. And looking on a globe and on a map in terms of latitude and longitude. Okay. So again, I want to emphasize that our Earth is big, it's massive. On our planet Earth, we have many continents, many countries, bodies of water, cities, communities. Okay, but again, then I pose the questions of how do we locate a particular or a specific location on Earth? Okay, what if you wanted to tell a friend the exact location of Sioux Lookout, Ontario? Okay, or any exact location for that matter. Okay, it's pretty hard to describe. So again, we need to use a system that is similar, that is related to math. Okay, this is known as a grid system with coordinates. Okay, think of graphing in terms of math, especially for last class lesson. Okay, again, a grid. Okay, you know that looks like. Grid with coordinates simply means that it has a y-axis and an x-axis. Okay, again, similar to math where you're graphing, for example, a linear equation or any equation for that matter. Okay, so a grid with coordinates, otherwise known as the y-axis and the x-axis. Again, a map of the world, of the globe, with coordinates on it. Okay. Again, then we talked about going to knowing our directions. Okay, north, east, southwest. Okay, or never eat shredded wheats, north, east, southwest. Okay, it's really important that we know our sense of direction, where north is pointing, where east is pointing, etc. Okay, this is very significant and key in terms of looking at latitude and longitude. Okay, but especially with latitude and longitude, we need to know north-south lines, so basically lines that goes up and down, and east to west lines, line that goes horizontally across from left to right. Okay, these are the two main directions that you need to know. Okay, up and down, north and south, left and right, east to west, or west to east. Okay, these are the two main directions that we need to really pay close attention to when looking at latitude and longitude. Okay, then we would look at the final with these two key terms, the equator and the prime meridian. Okay. So the equator. The equator. Okay, so again, picture a globe, a map. Okay, the equator is a imaginary line. It's not real. That goes across the middle of the Earth. Okay, almost like your x-axis. Okay, goes all the way across. Again, on my screen, I have two different maps or pictures. Note the red line that goes across. That is known as the equator. Okay, that line is the equator. Okay, right down the middle of the globe. Okay, cuts the globe in half horizontally. Okay, that is the equator. Okay, or another fancy word for, in terms of math, the x-axis. Okay, but when looking at geography, we call the x-axis as the equator. Okay, equator. Okay, so make sure you know that fancy term and its purpose. Next, we define what is the prime meridian. The prime meridian. Again, it's another imaginary line that goes right down the middle of the Earth, but it goes down vertically. Okay, straight down the middle, starting at North Pole to South Pole, all the way down. Again, otherwise known as, in terms of math, your y-axis. Okay, your y-axis. Again, on my screen, this blue line that I drew down the middle, that is known as the prime meridian. Okay, it's really hard for me to describe, especially if you can't see my pictures on my screen. But if you just Google a prime meridian and the equator, or have a globe or a map, it should help a lot. Okay, prime meridian. Okay. Okay, again, just two fancy words for the y-axis and x-axis like to use in geography. Okay. Are there any questions in terms of what are or what is the equator and the prime meridian? Are there any confusions? Does everything make sense so far? Again, I went into a lot more detail, especially last class. So again, make sure you watch that class on Tuesday if you have missed it. Again, all these informations are in your textbook. Nothing new, no surprises. I just try to organize it, highlight the key points so that it's a lot easier for us to remember. That is all. Okay, then we looked at what is a latitude. Latitude. So latitude is a line that goes from east to west. Okay, there are also horizontal line. These lines are parallel to each other. They are the same distance apart. The key significance of a latitude is that it is used to measure the distance north or south of the equator, or how far you are away from the equator. Okay, so again, note this black line right here that I drew across. This is the equator. Okay, latitude lines are measured north or south. They're measured in degrees. If you have a protractor, for example, it measures how far you are away from the equator. Okay, are you moving northwards or southwards? Okay, up or down? Okay, these are lines known as latitude. Okay, again, note they're the same distance. They're parallel to each other. They're used to measure how far you are away from the equator. Okay, so a picture a ladder. Okay, the steps on a ladder can be, I don't know, a metaphor or symbolism for latitude. Okay, so how I like to remember for latitude is that I like to use the word lat for flat, and then as flat straight across horizontally is a latitude lines. Okay, latitude lines. Okay, these lines are horizontal. They go from east to west or west to east, but they measure how far you are away from the equator, north or south. Okay, again, all these lines are measured in degrees. The equator is 0 degrees. The prime meridian is also 0 degrees. Okay. Longitude. Longitude pretty much means the opposite in terms of looking at the prime meridian. The only key difference is that longitude. Okay, longitude lines are not the same distance apart. Okay, they're not. Okay, no. Okay, these lines are vertical lines. Okay, they run north and south. Okay, these lines are north or south or up or down. However, longitude lines are used to measure the distance east or west of the prime meridian. Okay, or in other words, how far you are east or west of the prime meridian. Okay, if you're moving left or right. Okay, east or west, so west to east. Okay, these lines starts at the North Pole, so the very very top of the globe. Okay, and the very very bottom of the globe. Okay, that's where these lines starts. That is why these lines are not parallel to each other. Okay, they're not the same distance apart. However, again, they are measured in degrees. Okay, the prime meridian is 0 degrees, and they just go in by different intervals. Again, picture a ladder. Okay, a ladder. The side or the leg of the ladder can be a sign for longitude. Okay, longitude. Okay. Are there any questions about latitude and longitude? Again, if you are confused and if it doesn't make sense once you get to assignment 16, let me know. I'll be more than happy to clarify and explain it once again. Okay? Again, I have more pictures and illustrations to emphasize latitude and longitude and difference. Okay? So, again, just note equator goes with latitude, prime meridian goes with longitude. Okay? Alright, let's skip all this and let's get to how do we write latitude and longitude. So we ended off last class by looking at how do we locate a specific point on a map. So again, you have this map or this page in your textbook. Okay, again, this map is a picture of the globe. It has latitude lines and longitude lines. Okay, it also has the prime meridian and the equator. Okay, so for example, on this map there are points. Okay, so for example, if we were to state the exact location of the letter X. Okay, see this letter X right here? That's in the right dab in the middle of nowhere, basically in the middle of some ocean right here. Okay, if we were to locate that exact point, how would we write it? Okay, how would we write it? Well, if you remember from last class, right here, it states that you always write latitude first, followed by longitude. Okay, so latitude with the direction of north or south, followed by longitude, direction of east or west. So let's look at this letter X that's pretty much in the middle of nowhere. So we're looking at this map. Okay, we want to look at latitude lines first. Okay, latitude lines. So I know that latitude lines or any flat lines. Okay, any horizontal line. And look at that. This letter X goes across this line right here. If I follow this line across right here, it tells me that it is 30 degrees south. So for this letter X, you can write simply X equals 30 degrees south, comma. Then we will look at longitude lines. Okay, any vertical lines that starts at the poles. So look at that. X goes across this line right here. And it's simple for us to see. Okay. We know that this line that I'm highlighting in red is on the west, on the left hand side. So it must be west. West of the prime meridian. So our answer must be in something west. Look at that. Okay. And then we'll look at what degrees that line is. Okay. What degrees that line is. And that line falls under this right here, which is 30 degrees west. Okay. That's our magic number right here. So Z equals 30 degrees south and 30 degrees west. Okay, that is the exact point of that letter X that's in the middle of nowhere. So again, if you were to tell a friend or someone, okay, the exact location of a particular point, for example, this letter X, you'd be like, oh, it's located 30 degrees south, 30 degrees west. Okay? So again, always write latitude first, followed by longitude. Okay? So again, anything on the left-hand side of the prime meridian, it's west. Anything on the right-hand side of the prime meridian, it's east. Anything that's above the equator, okay, is north. And anything below the equator is south. Okay, that's why we need to know our sense of direction. That is pretty significant. Okay? Can be tricky, can be confusing, but it's pretty straightforward. Okay? Again, we write latitude first, then longitude. Number goes here, north or south, comma, number goes here, east or west. Okay? Any questions? Any questions? Again, this is a quick bit of review of what we talked about last class on Tuesday in terms of latitude and longitude. Okay, so again, question assignment 16. It's pretty straightforward. Out of 13 marks, you have a combination of multiple choice and fill in the blank answers. Okay, so basically you read all these statements and you pick the correct answer that goes in the box. Okay? Pretty straightforward. Okay, you don't have to write me any sentences or anything. Read it, pick the correct letter, put in a box. Multiple choice. Now on the next page, you have fill in a blank. Again, you'll need to use this map. Okay, that has again latitude lines, longitude lines, and different specific locations such as A, B, C, and D. There might be questions about that. Okay, and just answer those questions. Again, at any point you have any questions or you're stuck on anything, send me an email, give me a call, send me a Facebook message, and I'll be more than happy to help you out or direct you in terms of where to find the correct answer. Okay? Any questions about that? Alright, good stuff. Good stuff. Okay. Let's talk about something that's more fun. More fun. Your test. Your exam. Okay? So let's write this out. So your PLAR, history, and geography exam. Okay. PLAR history and geography tests or exam. So I'm going to talk about some details about it, and then I'll give you some examples, some kind of example questions that you will not see, but you can expect to see on your test or your exam. So, your test is 2 hours. You have 2 hours to write your test. Okay? If you are writing both tests, because there's 2 tests, okay? One for history and one for geography. Each test is an hour long. So if you only need to write the history test, you will have 1 hour. Or if you only need to write the geography test, you have an hour. If you need to write both and are writing both at the same time, you have 2 hours to write. Okay? 2 hours to write. Okay? It will be supervised. Okay, it's not a take-home test. It will be supervised by your DEC. Okay, so which means that you need to write your tests at the Learning Center. So, okay, so in order to write your tests, you must complete all assignment, okay? Assignment 1 all the way towards assignment 16, okay? You must at least attempt all questions on all assignments and have a decent grade. I'll decide that when you will be eligible to write your tests. Okay, once you are done all your assignments and I said you are eligible to write your tests, that is when you talk to your DC and be like, hey DC, I want to write my tests. You arrange a time and a date with your DC when that works. Okay, then you will let me know. That way I can email or fax the tests to your DC and have it ready for you when you want to write it. Okay, it is a closed book. Okay, you cannot use your notes. Okay, no notes allowed. So closed book. Okay, and you are not allowed to use any mobile devices. Okay, so no. Okay, so you cannot Google any answers on your phone, on your tablet, or like that. Okay? So again, just to recap, our history and geography tests. Again, you have 2 hours to write if you're writing both tests. Okay? It is supervised by your DEC. Okay, so if you have any questions while writing your tests or exam, you can ask your DEC. Your test must be written at your learning center. Okay? So it must be at your learning center. It is a closed book. No mobile devices are allowed. If you somehow move to a different community and that community doesn't have a learning center, okay, let me know and I will work something out in that community. Okay, I'll make a few phone calls. I will arrange something with someone, maybe a teacher at a school or that learning center in that community perhaps, and then that way you'll have a chance to write it as well. Okay? Questions about that? Okay, pretty straightforward. Pretty straightforward. Okay, let's start a new page. So your test, how it works. It works like this. It's a pass or fail situation. What does that mean, you ask? Well, simply either you pass or you fail the test or the exam. So in other words, in order to be successful, you need 50% or higher on your test or exam in order to pass. Okay, that is your magic number. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. So in order to be successful, in order to obtain your credit for this course, you need at least 50% or higher on your exam/test. Okay. However, if some strange odd reason you are unsuccessful the first time writing your test or exam, you do have a second chance. So don't worry, it's not the end of the world if you were not successful the first time. You do have a second chance if you are unsuccessful the first time. Okay, so don't freak out, don't stress out, it's okay. It's okay. Again, your magic number is 50% or higher so that in order to get your credit for this course. Okay? So again, I want to emphasize that all assignments needs to be completed. Okay? So, lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3 is our history. Okay? That is assignment 1 to 8. Okay? Lesson 4 to lesson 5 is our geography half. Remember, just 2 courses combined into 1. And that is assignment 9 to 16. Again, you need to do all assignments. Okay, attempt all questions. Okay, you cannot just skip any assignment and be like, oh, I don't want to answer that question. Oh, I don't like that question, or I don't like that assignment, and I don't want to do it. No, you do have to do it. Okay, you do have to do it. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so in order to write your tests, all this component needs to be done. Needs to be done. Okay, any questions about that? Any questions? Any questions? Okay, so let's talk about what you can expect or what the format of your test or exam will look like. So, I do have a sample test or sample exam questions. Okay, if you want to look at the sample tests in greater details, let me know and I can send that to you. That way you can try it, attempt it, and see how you feel. Okay? So this is just a sample. Okay, this is not your test that I'm showing right now. This is just an example. So how it works, class, is that the history and geography tests, again, are 2 separate tests, but they are the exact same format. Okay? So what you have to do when writing your test or exam is that you will need to read a series of different articles or paragraphs. Okay? And then you'll need to answer questions that follow that paragraph. Okay? So pretty straightforward. So for example, okay, during our history half, we talked about the stock market crash, but during the Great Depression era. Okay, so basically you'll have to read this information. Okay, all your answers are right here. Okay, there are no surprises. Okay, especially if you have done the assignments and have a good understanding of the foundation and the materials, there should be no problems. Okay, so again, all the answers are right here, all in here. Okay, you just need to read it, highlight it, circle it, underline the key points. Okay? So again, for another example, talk about the wheat prices. Again, you'll need to read the article, the passage that follows, Again, all the answers are right here. Right here. Okay. Again, it's broken down to subtitles, subsections. Okay, for example, drought during the farming era. Okay, are all right here. Okay. Okay. So again, the formatted tests are all like this, where you have to read something and then just answer questions that follow. When answering your tests or exam question, again, all answer must be in full, complete sentences if you want to receive full marks. Okay? You can't just write down one word answer. No. Okay, again, we're working on developing our writing skills as well. So again, all answers must be written in full, complete sentences. Again, check for spelling, grammar. Okay, if you spell something wrong, you may lose a half mark here or there. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So for example, some questions that you can expect would be, when did the New York stock market crash? Okay, by 1929, what three countries produce almost as much wheat as Canada? 3. How did grasshopper contribute to the Great Depression? 4. You have just learned about 4 causes of the Great Depression. Which one do you think was the most significant cause? Be sure to explain why. Okay, so there will be some opinion-based questions on what do you think? Can you tell me why you feel this way? Okay, then explain. Okay, so there will be some opinion questions. Okay, but again, I just want to emphasize that all answers are in the article that you're reading. Okay, so there's no surprises. For example, question number 1, when did the New York stock market crash? If you go back and look at this, and look and read the first sentence, for example, the Great Depression of the 1930s began with the New York stock market crash in October 1929. Okay, so that's pretty much your answer right there. So you can say the New York stock market crashed in October of 1929. Okay, something like that, you will receive full marks. Okay, for a simple question like that, when did the New York stock market crash? The New York stock market crash in October of 1929. Okay, so if you look at question number 2, for example, it says by 1929, 3 countries produce almost as much wheat as Canada. Okay, so we look at an article, we read it, da 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 da. Okay, so look at the read section. You can read the first sentence. For example, it says, by 1929, Canadian wheat production faced stiff competition from other countries. Argentina, Australia, and the USSR now produce almost as much wheat as Canada. Okay, boom, right there. Okay, so if you go back to your next page, that question, you can say the 3 countries that produce as much wheat as Canada were the USSR, Australia, and Argentina. Boom, right there, full marks. Okay, so there's no surprises, nothing difficult. Okay, again, read the article, answer the question that follows. Okay, so let's look at the geography. Okay, so some acceptable answers. Okay, so how did grasshopper contribute to the Great Depression? Grasshopper damaged a number of crops. They were able to destroy crops in a matter of minutes. Okay? Okay, geography. Same format, same concept, same idea right here. Okay, you have a little section, for example, water. Okay, you have to read this article. Okay, this article or this paragraph contains your answer. Okay, so if you don't know the answer, it's all right there. It's all right there. Okay, most of the content are based on your assignments. Okay, so same format. Okay, what percentage of water does Canada have in respect to the rest of the world? Okay, should be in this article somewhere. Canada has roughly 20% of groundwater. Okay. Okay. Into which ocean do Canada's rivers drain? Again, Pacific, Arctic, Atlantic. Okay. In your own words, describe the term watershed. Again, talk about your opinion in your own words. What do you think? Tell me your opinion. Okay. So pretty straightforward. Same format. Same format. Okay. So you have to read the article, read the paragraph, and answer the questions that follow in full, complete sentences. Okay? Are there any questions about in terms of what the format of your test or exam will look like or anything for that matter? Okay, again, an hour for each test, 2 hours each, written at the Learning Center. Okay, if you're in town here in Sulaco, you can stop by Wausau Distance Ed. Okay, and I will find you a place, a quiet place where you can write your tests here in town as well. Okay, so there's many, many different ways. Again, no notes, closed book. Okay, so make sure you do study a little bit. Okay, that will help. Again, no use of mobile devices. Okay, so you can't use your phone and all of that for that matter. Okay. Again, simple pass-fail situation. You need at least 50%. If you get 50% or higher, boom, you get your credit for this course, history and geography, PLAR history and geography. If you get below 50%, well, that's okay. You do have a second chance, a second opportunity to write it. Okay, so if you are a bit nervous or don't know where you stand, just write it the first time. Okay, there's nothing wrong with it. Okay, that way you get a sense of what you can expect. Okay, so again, don't stress out, don't freak out. Okay, it's nothing hard. Okay, nothing difficult. Okay, if you have taken the time to do the assignments, understand the material that we talked about in class and in your textbook, okay, there shouldn't be any problems. Okay, even if you miss a class or two, again, all the information are in your textbook. All the lessons are posted on my YouTube channel. It's on the NNEC archive page. Okay, so many ways you can access informations and lessons that you have missed. Again, for tests, history and geography, just read the article, read the paragraph. All the answers are right there if you don't know it. Okay, so no surprises. And the only thing I'm asking for and looking for in order to receive full marks is that you write in full, complete sentences. Okay, pretty straightforward. Pretty straightforward. Are any questions? Any questions about the test? Are any questions over there in Waterman for Roslyn? Do you have any questions right now?
No.
No questions? Okay. Which assignment are you working on again? Is it assignment 13? Was that correct?
Assignment 15?
15?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions about assignment 15? I know assignment 15 is pretty big. It's probably your biggest assignment that you have to do. Does that make sense?
Um, question 6.
Question 6?
Yes. Carpooling.
Carpooling? All right. 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Yes. Question 6. What is carpooling and how does that help reduce air pollution for 2 marks? So, have you heard of that fancy term of carpooling before?
No.
No? How to explain it without giving away the answer? Carpooling. So, basically, picture a car or a truck, and more than one people are in that car and truck going to a place or a location. Okay, so for example, um, say you ha say you were going to learn center, but you decided to drive. And say that I was going to the learn center and I was going to drive. Okay, so now we have 2 people going to the same place, same location, and they are both driving. We know that driving in a way is harmful for our environment as driving produces greenhouse gases, okay, which increases the temperature on our planet. So if we carpool, for example, say that I hopped into your car or we picked up a few more different students and we go to learn center together, okay? Do you see where I'm going with that?
Yes.
Yeah? So in other words, carpooling is when people share a ride together where we save money on gas and we reduce air pollution. Okay? Does that kind of make sense?
Uh-huh.
I pretty much just gave you the answer right there. That's okay. Okay, so we want to reduce pollution. We want to reduce greenhouse gases. So to do that, why have 10 different people drive cars and go to the same place where we can just pick up people, share our car, save money on gas, and save our environment. Okay, that's basically what carpooling means. Okay, carpooling. Okay. Are there any other questions that you're stuck on right now, Rosalind?
Um, no.
No? Okay, good. So then you're almost done, which is great. So you gotta finish off a few more questions for assignment 15, and then you can start assignment 16, which won't take you long because it's all multiple choice and fill in the blank. Once you are done that, submit that to me, and I'll mark it. And if all is good, you can write your tests, and then you're done this half. Okay, so keep up the good work. Okay, again, if you have any questions, as you're working on the last few questions, just let me know. Okay. So class, I just want to emphasize and remind everyone again that this is it for term 1B. Okay, we're done this term. Term 2A starts in 2 weeks' time, the second week of February. Okay, so for term 2A, 2A, let's write this down. Term 2A, okay? We will start this class, this course all over again from the very, very beginning, okay? So, PLAR, history and geography will have a brand new start time, okay? Will still be Tuesdays and Thursdays. That will never change, okay? Tuesdays and Thursday, but we do have a brand new time slot for term 2A, okay? I will be doing my classes at 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Central Time. Okay, we'll be in the morning for a change. There will be no more night classes for PLAR history and geography. If you're on the Eastern time zone, well, that's simply 11 a.m. to 12 noon Eastern time. Okay, this is our brand new start time for term 2A. Okay, in 2 weeks time. And we'll start this course all over again. We'll start from fresh. Okay, we'll start off once again looking at history. Okay, lesson 1, 2, 3. Then we'll start geography, lesson 4 and 5. Okay, all the content material will be the same. I will try to plug in new information along the way to change things up, to spice things up, to make it more fun. Okay, so again, please continue to work on your assignments. Get them done. Don't wait. Okay, finish it. Finish it by this weekend if you can. That'd be great. Send it to me. Email it to me. Fax it to me. That way I can mark it next week during our admin week. Then you'll be eligible to write your tests, and then you'll be done. Done PLAR history and geography. You will get your credit. Okay, we'll update your transcript. That way you can move forward with your studies in order to complete your goal of what you need to finish. Okay, so very exciting. We're almost done. We're all pretty much all done for term 1B. Okay, so again, just want to emphasize, no classes next week. It's our admin week. Our game show is next week. Okay, and you want to win some cool WhatsApp swag, make sure you take part in that. Again, term 2A starts the second week of February. PLAR history, geography, my course, my class, brand new start time, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Central Time, and 11 a.m. to 12 noon Eastern. Okay, still Tuesdays and Thursday. Okay, that will not change. If you are not finished your assignments for term 1B, again, that is okay. You can still work on it in terms of term 2A. You will still have a chance and opportunity to write your tests in term 2A. Okay, so again, you will not be withdrawn from the program if you're not finished by this week or next week. Okay, that's okay. Just continue to work on it. Okay, it'll be great if you can let your teacher know. That way, they know where you stand, for example. Okay, but just continue to work on your assignments. Okay, we all understand. I understand that we have busy lives and we have different things going on in our communities. We have families and different events. Okay, so just continue to work on it. Okay, encourage your classmates, your friends, your family member to finish their assignments as well. Okay, so don't feel discouraged. Don't give up. Okay, remember, we're all here to help if you need help. Okay, but please continue to work on your assignments. Okay, before we pretty much call it a night, are there any last questions? Any questions, Roslyn over in Waterman, before we call it a night?
No.
No? Everything makes sense so far? Good?
Yes.
Okay, good. Again, if you have any questions, just send me an email. Send me an email, send me a Facebook message, give me a call. Send me your assignments once you are done. I will mark it. I will give it to your DC. And once you are eligible for your tests, you will do that. Okay? So I just want to thank everyone. It has been a wonderful term for term 1B. Okay? We'll not be doing any more night classes. Okay? Especially if you're not for term 2A. We'll be back in the morning. Okay? I'm going to stop it as that. I want to wish everyone a wonderful night. Again, thank you so much for everyone, especially everyone in Waterman. You have been coming to class on a regular basis, which is fantastic. So I want to thank everyone over there. I want to thank everyone else, wherever community you may be in. And I will see everyone very, very soon. Have a great night and all the best.